Hello, and welcome to Week 5, Unit 2 of Application Development for SAP Business by Design. In this unit, we're going to look at analytics. Now, analytics already exists within SAP Business by Design. There's a lot of great reports and data sources that are there, and the tool itself can be very helpful if you're looking to look at what kind of analytics are in your system based on your data. And we have ways of not only extending the existing analytics, but also creating our own analytics content through the SAP Cloud Application Studio. So there's two different things, or a couple main things that make up analytics. So first off, we always have some kind of data source. And a data source is based on one or more business objects, depending on if it's on a single object, or you can have joined and combined data sources. And what makes up a data source are key figures and characteristics. This is the different data that's on that specific object or objects. Key figures are values that have units of measure, so your monetary amounts, measurements, things like that. And characteristics are the other data, so IDs, statuses, whatnot. And you can create new key figures as well within the studio, but a lot of times you have the key figures there in most of the cases, and then you have this data source that comprises all this data. Now, off of a data source, we'll be able to build our reports, and the reports are actually what the user would view and use, and that'll pull in data from the data source. It'll then use the key figures and characteristics as kind of rows or columns or different axes, and be able to provide you the data in any number of ways that you set up for that specific report. Now, I'm not going to go too much into the actual analytics of SAP Business by Design itself, how the report designer and all of that works. I'm just going to show you how the SAP Cloud Application Studio comes into play when it goes to analytics. So let's jump into the studio. Again, I'm logged into the SAP Cloud Application Studio with my development user. I'm going to go ahead and right-click on my bonus plan object, and I'm going to say Create Data Source. And I want to generate a new data source for my object. You can see I can give it some info here. What's the name of this data source, a good description of it. If I want to be able to provide referencing from other data sources, or if there should be access control around it. For now, we're going to ignore those. Just go to Next. And I can say what should actually be in the data source. So I'm going to go ahead and give this info. I'm also going to pull in the employee name, current common, and we'll say business partner formatted name. And let's go ahead and say Next. And now here I'll be able to, after I've selected all of my data, I can provide some transformations if I want. So for example, for dates, I can say if I want to have the duration of this date, or the month of that date, or the year. So if I want to be able to show all bonus plans for the month of March, I would need some transformations to be able to pull that data out from what data I already have. And you can do this on names and descriptions as well. For now, we're going to leave it as we have it. And then I can also reference other data sources if I want to. If I want to be able to reference to the employee data source, I can set that up here. For now, we'll go on, and I also have the ability to provide aggregations. So in this case, we have the summation of the bonus rate plans. I could also give maximum minimums, total count of this field. All my monetary values, I can do these aggregations on to give a little bit of extra added value with the data that's there. So we'll say Next and Finish. And that's my data source. I have it created. I could even deliver this solution as is with this data source, and then in the production system, anybody who's the analytics admin, so to speak, at that customer site or your site could then go in and create a new report if they want to off of this, or create new data sources, join and combine this data source with other ones, and show any kind of data you want to. So at a minimum, this is great. I always recommend at least creating a data source for your objects. That way it's available, because if you at least have a data source and you've deployed it to production, you at least have a starting point to be able to do analytics without redeploying new content. But for us now, I'm going to go ahead and right-click. I'm going to say Create Report. And it's going to ask me to switch on admin mode. And now this is basically the system saying that we're going to start reusing some of the key user tools. Now, we're not actually doing key user changes, but we're reusing the same UIs. But this basically kind of makes my user a key user. It's very important that when you're in, oops, sorry, let me do that again. When you're in admin mode, that you don't go into the front end and try and make any key user changes with your development user. You should definitely not do that. That could damage your tenant, and then you have to file an incident and wait for support to get back to you on something. But from here, I'm able to reuse the report wizard that's in here, and you can see it pulls in my data source. It's going to want a name, again, some info, a good description. So I'm going to say bonus plans. If I want to have it for mobile devices or master data only. So the typical report design wizard that's there, I'm going to select all my key figures, and then I'll leave all the characteristics in as well. I can give some properties if I want to have selection values, so be able to limit things, right? Be able to say select dates, and give the user a way to further filter the report. And then if I had done that, I could give variables. And then I'm just going to go ahead and say finish. And now I also have the report for my object. And I could go ahead and view this report and be able to, I could even assign it to work center, so I could put it in my bonus plan work center. So I also, within that work center, would have the report list and be able to go in and have it tied to that work center, which is nice. It's what we typically would see anyways. So you can see here, let's just say bonus plan ID. And the report is available to us, and now it's ready. So then I can assign it to a user. So analytics, as far as the studio, is quite, there's a lot you can do, but it's a small topic as far as what's new content you can do. Now the benefit, of course, that building this report and data source in the studio is now it's part of my solution. I can deploy it and have it go to other systems. Whereas if I went from the front end to create this report, it would be just for that tenant specifically. So that's analytics itself, and that's it for this unit. Thank you very much.